Adam, thanks so much for taking the time to tell me a little bit more about OpenSRS today.
Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, and we're actually sitting in a pretty cool location here. This is at the Two Cows headquarters. You have a sweet patio.
Yeah, we have a really great patio. Whenever we have something to celebrate, a major release or something, we'll get everybody out on the patio back here.
Yeah, it's
enjoy
gorgeous.
Some sun,
like, I love the
have
area.
some barbecues, all
Nice.
sorts of good stuff around here. It's a very nice space and we use it a lot.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, well, let's get down to business about OpenSRS. What kind of opportunities are you seeing for hosting companies to kind of grow their business in that sense?
You know, there's still a lot of opportunities, so that's the good news. Even though it's becoming a very low-margin business to the point where people are giving things away for free, there's all sorts of opportunities out there today. One of them is certainly, especially when it comes to domain names, the domain name aftermarket.
Right.
So the domain name aftermarket basically represents the market in which domain names that have been taken but are for sale represent. And as domain names become harder and harder to find, this is becoming more and more important for web hosting companies. Web hosting companies typically start their purchase process with a domain name. So when you go to a web hosting company's website, usually there's a box that says type in a domain name, and then from there, they'll start to do stuff like sell web hosting services, sell email, digital certificates. But if you as a web hosting company really can't make any names available for sale through that box, you're not going to sell other services. So one thing a lot of major web hosting companies and registrars are doing these days, and our customers are doing, that we're really seeing is becoming very popular, and we're really trying to talk to customers that aren't doing it, is adopting this domain name aftermarket. So when you put a domain name search box on your front page of your website, usually what happens is when somebody types in a name, it'll say, oh, sorry, that's not available, call this phone number, or goodbye. And so what we're really trying to talk to our customers about, because really big major web hosting companies that are successful are all doing this, is put some technology behind it that says, well, here are some suggestions based on your query that are available. So I've looked to see that you're typing in the word hockey, so I'm going to look for the word sports. And here are some domain name suggestions based on the domain name aftermarket. So if you typed in hockey space league, maybe hockeyleague.com is available in the aftermarket. And allowing people to type in whatever the heck they want into that box and just spitting out results no matter what. So we've done a lot of research that says when people go to that box, they don't type in www.yourname.com. They tend to type in things like one word at another word exclamation mark, or one word ampersand another word, and generally stuff like that returns errors. So that's another thing that we're trying to get our customers to really think about. The other major opportunity that I think web hosts are really missing out on is just making it really easy to do business. Domain name transfers is a great example. Bringing a domain name over to a new web hosting company can be a really complicated process. You got to do all these approvals, you got to make sure it's in a certain state, you got to have an authorization code, It can be scary. And what a lot of people who are doing a good job of talking in plain English and offering one package and doing the whole kit and caboodle are also doing that just helps them grow their business even further, is making that process really easy to understand. So putting up a checklist that says, whoa, before you bring your domain name over, do you have X? Do you have Y? Do you have
just
Z?
simplifying it.
Is everything okay? And then going on with the process. So that way, there's a much smaller chance that anything in that process is going to fail, and that name will come over successfully. So a lot of our customers are doing a very good job of that these days, and it's leading to, if you bring in new domain names, you're bringing in new web hosting business, you're bringing in new email business, and all that other good stuff you sell on top of it.
Well, what would you say makes OpenSRS in particular unique compared to anything else out there?
Well, OpenSRS, we like to say, we have these logos now that actually say reseller friendly since 1999. And that's actually a really good indicator of what makes us different. We've been around since 1999, which in internet years is like 800. And because of that, we actually invented the wholesale model. So the concept of being able to buy domain names and internet services on a wholesale level, for service providers and web hosting companies, whereby they could slap their own name and logo on top of it and make it look like they're providing all the technical backend for that. That whole concept was founded with OpenSRS. So we have the most experience in operating a system like that. We've been in domain names from day one when the market deregulated and other companies were allowed to register domain names. So because of that, all we focus on is wholesale services. All we focus on is making sure our customers can do business successfully. All we focus on is providing them with the tools to be able to do that. And so that's something that a lot of companies really don't do very well or very often. We're also really heavily involved in the domain name policy process, which a lot of other companies these days aren't. So we have a very unique business model whereby we're representing thousands and thousands of web hosting companies. Because most other domain name registrars, service providers in our space are direct to retail or have their own interests, they typically don't tend to take the concerns of all those customers to organizations like ICANN, which is responsible for the operation of domain names in the internet and such. And so, by taking all those concerns, we're really able to help formulate some policy around that, which is another really big belief for us, is that we should be able to do that for our resellers. And not only resellers, but our resellers' customers, so what we call registrants. We're also very focused on making sure we're always doing the right thing, and our resellers are always doing the right thing to give registrants as much rights and access to their domain names as possible. And, frankly, a lot of customers don't do that these days.
Very good, very good. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to tell me a little bit more about what you do with OpenSRS.
Thank you.